Hello everybody, welcome to another deck profile video, and today what I have for you is the Ancient Hybrid OTK deck, otherwise known as the Red Railgun, and it's essentially you're just trying to win in one turn. OTK stands for one turn knockout, and that's essentially the only thing that this deck does. And every single card in this is meant to be part of that strategy. But let's start off with the babies. It runs 4 Koromons. You really don't need a 5th egg because you're just trying to win in one turn. It's possible you might need to switch your strategy up, but overall you want the starter deck Koromon, the one that gives you plus 1000 if you have a stack of 4 or more. You're trying to win with one big stack and that's it, and so this Koromon is the only card you really need for your eggs in that situation. If you have gotten to your 5th egg, you're probably not going to win. This deck is not meant to go pound for pound for a long period of time. It's just not how this deck works at all, and that'll become eventually clear as we go through the deck. Next we have Digimon, the one that comes from BT4 from Great Legends. It reveals 3 cards and adds a hybrid and or a tamer. It's a very good searcher, well, one of the searchers that you need to run in this deck. You can play it just to search for the cards. Searching for the cards for this combo are huge. It also counts as a hybrid, which will be important as we move along in just a second. Pretty much every card in this is a hybrid except for a couple of level 5s, which we'll get to in just a second. Next, we have another Flamemon, which is also a hybrid, of course. This one comes from BT6. It provides piercing as the inheritable. Usually you don't want to hard play this one. It's 4 cost, which is expensive for a rookie, but you definitely want to make sure that you have that hybrid, and that piercing only helps this situation to get that one turn knockout going. Next, the third and last Flamedramon is the one from BT7. It reveals 4 cards and searches for a hybrid Susanomon or Takuya. There's no Susano, there's no Takuya, so really you're just looking for hybrid pieces to finish your combo. So again, another card that will help you in this deck is that one. And then last but not least, we run 2 Pokemons, 2 more searcher cards. You can see that we have 10 searcher cards in this deck. The 2 Flamemons and the 2 Pokemons, all looking for the red hybrids because you want to make sure that you get all of those combo pieces. So that will do for our level 3 deck. Next, we run 2 Agunimons. They're hybrids. They're level 4s. They can Digivolve from a Tamer, but you probably don't want to do that. They're here. They add to your hybrid count, and they could potentially win a game if you Digivolve it off of a Tamer that you have already. For example, if you already took care of all security. And you need to punch for 1 more, excuse me. Next, Burning Greymon. This one, you don't care about it Digivolving from the Tamer as well. You care about that Digivolving for 1 on top of your other Digimon or that are also level 4. So if you already have a level 4, you want to make sure that you bring that up on top of the other ones. It could even stack it on top of another Burning Greymon. Because eventually what you do is you get to an Ancientgreymon, which swings and checks 1 security for every hybrid under it. If you can get multiple Burning Greymon stacked on top of each other, guess what? If you have all 4 of them, now you're checking 5 security along with the natural check from the Ancient. That's essentially what you want to do. You want to have a huge stack. If you can get piercing, if you can get DP added to it, which you'll see in some other cards, if you can get a lot of the effects that we'll see in just a little bit stacked together, you can check all of security and not trigger anything. Specifically, the Ancientgreymon is the one card that you want, and this card right here is the one that makes it all happen. Agunimon promo. It has an attacking ability to Digivolve into Ancientgreymon, but you don't want to do that. Instead, what you want to do is use the ability that reduces the Digivolution cost by 2, if needed. There are cards that can put 2 of these together in the same stack, potentially making you pay only 1 for Ancientgreymon, or even free if you get 3 of them on top of each other. I'll talk about those cards in just a second, but essentially, if you can get a Agunimon going early, you can get Ancientgreymon out for cheap, but you don't want to warp Digivolve, not necessarily. We'll talk more about that in a second. Next, a very key card is Aldamon from BT7. This card does not activate security effects on cards it checks. as it's inheritable. So if it is part of the stack of the OTK stack, this is huge. It's like that card that doesn't activate options on security. As long as you have a hybrid, that is active, and so that as being part of your stack is huge. You want to make sure that you get your Aldemon going, and of course you can digi off for one off of your hybrids, which is big. Next, 3 Metal Greymons. I would probably run 4 if if I had the space for it, but really just trying to get the DP up. Again, another one that did you off for 1 if it goes from a level 5. It just adding DP, and you could potentially take Ancient Greymon all the way past to 17, which is bigger than any Digimon that exists. That way you can check into cards. So ideally, if you have the ideal stack, you could have Piercing Greymon, Burning Greymon. You could have Agunimon. Actually, you could do something more like this, rather. Right? Aldemon, Metal Greymons, and then the last card, which we run 4 of, which is Ancient Greymon, or Ancient Greymons, right? You digivolve that on top for cheap, or cheaper if you have more of the Agunimon. You can check for 17, activating no options, piercing through if they block you, and you will check pretty much every security card that's available. You have 1 check, 2 checks, 3 checks, 4 checks, 5 checks, 5 checks, 6 checks. Take out the entire security stack. Even if your opponent runs yellow and is recovering constantly, that's still going to kill a lot of it. And you could make that stack even bigger if possible. In fact, we'll talk about how you can check even more security cards if you have some other cards out there. We'll go ahead and organize this correctly. But as you can see, having all of those hybrids is huge. And again, this is all you need to do, and you need to be patient. You must bring all of these out and finish it in 1 turn. You keep it in your hatchery if you must. Luckily, some of these Digimon digivolve for 1. Even if without reducing, it's just a natural from a level 4 to a level 4 1 cost, and that's pretty huge. That can make it or break it here. And once you have checked all of your opponent's security with Ancient Greymon, you destroy them with the Omnimon Blitz. You check all of the security with Ancient Greymon. Omnimon comes in, unsuspends, and checks. Well, it wouldn't check. It would just end your opponent there because Ancient Greymon just got rid of the entire security stack with it. And we run 4 because you must have this card in hand. You cannot have it, then you cannot finish your opponent off in 1 turn. You must have Omnimon. It is not a target for your searchers. Your Flamons, your Pokemons will not pull it. You must have it either in hand, or you must be one that you have a high probability of pulling. And so getting the 4 copies of this Blitz Omnimon is pretty huge. Next, Tie. We run 4 copies. Not just because it gives you a security check on a big stack, but you need to have the memory in order to digivolve it as well. So if your opponent checks into a tie, if you can play a tie, get that 3 memory, that lets you digivolve at least a couple of times during your turn to keep making the stack bigger. This tie is big. In addition to that, you also have a card that does pretty much a similar job. You can run we run a couple of heroes here, which gain memory. It's much like tie. It's a memory tamer. Also, when you attack with a Digimon that has Gamamon or is level 5 or higher, you can suspend to gain plus 2,000. So if you're still short on DP, if you don't have enough Metal Greymons, maybe only do 1 or 2, and you're still worried that you might swing into something that's 15k for like a Susanomon, you can use Hero to get that DP up and still take care of the memory situation. Right, a big card that's part of this combo here. Next, we have 2 red memory boost searcher cards, give you additional memory later on. Remember, there's only 1 point here. It's to railgun your opponent with the Ancient Greymon and finish them off with a Blitz. That's the whole point. Next, Rowdy Rocker. A big part of this combo is putting more hybrids under what the stack you already have. Rowdy Rocker lets you put a red level 4 or lower and draw 2 cards. You want to do this ideally with another Agunimon to reduce the price of going to Ancient Greymon. You could have a natural Agunimon already in the stack. You can Rowdy Rocker a second one under the stack, and then you evolve into Ancient Greymon potentially for 1, or if you get both off and have both Agunimons for free, an Ancient Grey OTK Blitz and finish the game that way. That's one huge way that you can do it, is with Rowdy Rocker. You also draw 2 cards, so if you're still looking for pieces, that might be one of the ways to do it, is to place a card under while still picking up 2 cards. Right? And our last card, our 50th card, is Crimson Blaze. This card is simply here to maybe keep your opponent in check. It does delete a bunch of Digimon, all of your opponent's Digimon with 6,000 DP or less. It keeps your opponent from Ricky rushing you essentially to death. So Crimson Blaze, it's an option. It's a little bit of like helping you control the board so that you don't get wiped by a bunch of small little Digimon if you haven't gotten it. This deck is able to destroy your opponent very quickly, very easily, very quickly. There's one way to win with this deck, and it is to get a giant stack going, swing with it, check all of the opponent's security, and then blitz for game. Or you could potentially also going to tie a Goodymon for game if you have the memory for it. All of it is very simple, and this deck has made actually a pretty good splash on regionals this past weekend. So that's awesome to see, and I hope to see more decks like this. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you're interested in more deck profiles, make sure you give this this channel a subscribe. I would appreciate it. We're still trying to grow this. We love this game, Digimon, and I'll see you on the next.